Tyson is on.
We good? All right, we'll call to order the special meetings of the Fair Planning Commission. If we can call the roll, and then we'll stand for a pledge. For now, we'll do pledge. That's usually what we do. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Call the roll, please.
Atkins.
Here.
Bothwell.
Here.
Broyles.
Here.
Caudell.
Here.
Couse. Hicks.
Here.
Hunt.
Here.
Knuckles.
Here.
Pearson.
Here.
Todd. Wright.
Here.
And Breedy.
Here. Okay, so our meeting here tonight is mainly for two objectives. One is to interview for an attorney, and the other one is to make official the appointment of John Pearson to the BZA. We should have done that at the last meeting, but he is the only person really available to be appointed by the APC as a citizen member of an incorporated area. He's the only qualifying member, so he kind of like gets it by default, but we need to make that official. So I'll nominate John Pearson to be our APC representative at the BZA. Second. Second. Call the roll, please.
Atkins.
Yes.
Bothwell.
Yeah.
Broyles.
Yeah.
Caudell.
Yes.
Hicks.
Yes.
Hunt.
Yes.
Knuckles.
Yes.
Pearson. Wright.
Yes. So the second one, part of our meeting would be to interview your attorneys. We had two lined up. One David Glickfield and one Michael Hotz, both local attorneys. Michael Hotz did pull his name, feeling that the better candidate would be David. So he would like that he pulled his name. So we do have David. I do believe he's out there in the hallway. To basically come in, get a little bit about his history and this and that, and if we have any questions, and then possibly make a decision if we would like to hire him as our attorney. So David, you're more than welcome to come in.
We're going to be good. Oh, sure.
So Mr. Glickfield, thank you for coming in. Sure. Showing interest in this position. So basically we'll just give us a little who, what, where, why you want to do this.
Sure.
And we may ask questions, some office staff may ask questions. You'll be dealing with the office also, and running the show here.
Very good. Just give you a little background. I went to Marion High School, graduated in 1982, went to Purdue University, got my mechanical engineering degree. Then I graduated with a law degree from the University of Dayton in 1990. I've been practicing law here since 90, so I'm in year 34. Was county commissioner for 14 years myself. I in fact sat on this board almost that whole time, so I'm somewhat familiar with what you do already. I've been the health department attorney for many years. I don't even know how many, probably 20 plus years. I'm currently Gas City attorney, and I do their BZA and Plan Commission work for them, and I do all their code enforcement for them also. So I'm kept up to date somewhat on what the different functions are of the two boards and the statutes, that sort of thing. I mean, obviously issues will come up I might need to do a little bit of research on, but overall I feel fairly comfortable with my knowledge of what you gentlemen need to do. So that's a little background information. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
All right. I'll open it up to questions here. We also may want to make notes in the thing that Ed Hartman is here representing the BZA in the interview process here.
What was the most enlightening experience that you had when you were on the Area Plan Commission?
I left right before the CAFO hit.
Oh, darn.
So I got to miss all that. It was really pretty smooth. I don't remember too many big issues. I tried to recall if we went through a plan update. I think at some point we did, and that was probably the thing that maybe took the most time, but I don't recall. The solar came right at the end, and I think the CAFO came, not solar, excuse me, windmill, right at the end, and then, I don't know if CAFO was right after that. And then, of course, now you have the solar issue that everyone's been dealing with, so, but I don't remember anything to that magnitude anyway.
So we meet generally on the first Mondays of the month. That's apparently not gonna be an issue with your schedules.
No, I do Gas City the third and fourth Mondays for BZA for them on the third Monday, and then the Plan Commission's the fourth Monday.
Okay, so that's nothing.
Yeah. And then the Health Board generally meets on Mondays, but they normally meet at 5, so
Okay.
we're almost always done if there was ever any conflict. I've had quite a bit of experience in code enforcement. I've done it, I did it for the city of Marion for many years, enforcing their ordinances. I guess I left that out. I was a city attorney in Marion for a while, and a city attorney in Jonesboro for 8 years also. Was on the Board of Works at Marion for many years, and did a lot of code enforcement. So I know that's one of the tasks of speaking with Ryan that you need help with, is making sure people are keeping their properties the way they need to be kept and in line with the code. So I've done that for many, many years.
So like with Gas City, you have you are the code enforcement officer, or you just
No,
process it for them?
Yeah, I handle the matters in court.
Okay.
Yeah, they have code enforcement and a building department. They call me whenever there's questions. We'll issue tickets or summons or complaints. Sometimes in cities, things are taken to the Board of Works on unsafe properties. And then if the person who has an issue with the ruling of the Board of Works, and they can take it into the courts. I think here we go straight to court. That layer's not here for county government.
Are you knowledgeable of what Nicole and Ryan's needs are and any concerns about that, being able to serve them on a regular basis, just the routine stuff?
Yes, I somewhat know what they need. I've talked to Ryan a little bit about it, and certainly I think I can meet him once a week or whenever he wants and go through specific situations and try to give them advice on what needs to be done, how to handle it. Sometimes get people's attention, you just have to take them to court. I'm sure for the most part, they've tried, and that's always a last resort. But, I know that's been the practice for years, where the attorney goes and meets with them. And Mr. Elliott, who was actually the predecessor to Mr. Persinger, he was in my office for several years. We practiced together before he became Chief Public Defender. And I think he even continued on after that. But I just remember having conversations with him, and I knew he would always come in, and whether it was Tanya or whoever the director was, he would come in once a week and go through whatever needed to be done with it. I certainly anticipate that to help them out in the office.
So one reason why we are looking for a new attorney is there's basically a conflict of interest, we believe. You are not affiliated with Kyle's firm?
No, Kyle's a friend of mine, and I like him, and I like all those attorneys over there. They're good attorneys, but no, we have no affiliation whatsoever. Mr. Nathan Meeks and myself have our own partnership.
Okay.
So there's no issue there.
Nathan's a counsel?
Nathan is the county council attorney, that's correct. But I think obviously the council handles financial, budgetary, so I couldn't imagine a situation where a conflict could come up. I guess it's possible, but it's much less likely than maybe with the commissioners.
So why do you want to do this?
Well, I know there's a need, and I've narrowed my practice down now to where I just do criminal and government law, so I know Ryan, I've known him for quite a while, and willing to come in and help out if you guys want me to, basically.
How did you hear about the position?
I don't know whether Mr. Persinger mentioned it to me at some point or Ryan. mentioned it to me. I know I talked to Ryan about it. I think he was recruiting local attorneys to apply. And Kyle might have told me at some point that he needed to step down because of a conflict of interest. And just mentioned it to me that way. I can't remember which happened first though.
Did you get a job description and salary?
I know what the salary is. I know the salary's low, and I think that needs to be, I mean, it all depends on how much time you have to spend in court. But I heard Mr. Persinger had put in over 100 hours, and for attorney rates, obviously, that's very low. So, you know, I talked to Ryan about the salary, and hopefully that can be adjusted a little bit. At some point, I know that's really not your function per se, that's a council issue, and whether they're willing to do that or not. But it really just depends on how much time, you know, I have to spend in court, and I'm already anticipating at least 1 day a week coming over and seeing what they need, so there's probably 52 hours right there. If, you know, maybe a couple weeks for vacation, knock it down to 50. And then, you know, I'm assuming you probably will want an attorney at the meetings, the BZA and the APC meetings, and then also court will have to be addressed. So no, I did not get a formal job description, but I have a pretty good idea what it was. And I do know it's currently, I believe, 12,000, I think is the salary.
Which we have learned by looking around, it's not at the top of the pay scale.
No. And I can just tell you flat out, I'm definitely not doing this for the money. You know, I've got plenty of business of my own. I just like working in government. I like being involved. I always have since, you know, almost my entire career. I've been involved in government, and I just did something I enjoy.
I think that is a plus, that if you do deal with government issues, it's not just criminal or
Right.
or
Yeah.
civil law.
When I got back from law school, I started working for the city of Marion almost immediately, and then transitioned into county, and at the same time I was working in Jonesboro, the city attorney over there for a couple of different mayors, and now I'm with Mayor Rock in Gas City, and he keeps me popping for sure.
Yeah.
Because that place is booming.
Any questions out of the office?
How quickly is your turnover rate for a response?
Response for,
So I've dealt with 3 different lawyers. I've had different outcomes on each one. I've had one lawyer who doesn't get back a hold of me for almost a month.
I would get back with you within a day or two.
That's what I like.
Yeah, I would for sure.
Obviously, we understand vacation, time
yeah.
off, all that stuff. And of course, I am a goldfish, so I forget halfway around my loop if you're on vacation, so I understand that.
Yeah.
But mainly, some of the issues we run into is not getting responses back quick enough in order to get stuff into court. And with different lawyers, I have done different things. Some of them have taken off the first step, and we just deal with, if we dealt with them on the ground and that's not working, we skip straight to the warning letters. Or you wanting to keep up with all the paper trails, which is fine, which is what we have in the office. But I've had lawyers where we don't do the initial, we go straight to warning. Other ones, we do the initial warning and attorney. Others, if for some reason, if they don't do any responses, we go straight for demolition. I mean, it all depends on like which route do you go.
Yeah, I would assume we would meet at least once a week and address all those issues.
Which is one of the things that I don't typically have going on right now due to me being busy and everything else. But yeah, so that's one of the appointments. If we could do a weekly thing, we could get stuff through court a lot quicker.
I anticipate doing that. And then whenever we have a trial, I want to meet with whoever my witness is going to be and make sure we're all on the same page so I can present the evidence on behalf of the county.
And typically our courts are going to be Fridays, and we normally start 8, depending on how many we go through.
Sure. Yeah, I'll address that with Judge. I'm sure we can get that. I normally don't work Fridays, but I would come in for this. And I have reentry court, the one thing I do need to do on Friday mornings, but I'm sure Judge McVicker he'll fix the schedule.
We've actually sat down and talked to McVicker about a few things that he'd want to see differently, so I don't see an issue with sitting down with him again to do that, because we did that with Kyle, when we switched judges too, so.
Right. I don't foresee any problem there at all.
How do you deal with the, one of our main gray areas is the cars. So when we go after certain vehicles, so like depending on which is going on, if we have a full lot or a single one, how do you guys deal with that in Gas City?
You know, honestly, we don't have a huge problem with it. They had talked at one point, the council had earlier, in Mayor Rock's term about potentially an ordinance, and I think word got around that, and then people, got the hint, and, you know, it's not a major problem now. We certainly don't want people accumulating cars because they're working on them and not performing a task which is allowed in that particular zoning classification, so, you know, we are on it on that, but I take that back. We did have one case, which we did take to the Board of Works, and that got resolved.
Okay.
Yeah, that did. That was probably a year and a half ago.
I had
We got
another
that
question,
fixed.
but it left me. Let's see. Really, it's just down to the paperwork process. We would have to sit down and really go through it.
Yeah.
'Cause my
Obviously, it would
office-
be helpful if we had a form and you had the paperwork ready. I would like to see it before it's filed. And I would like to approve it and sign it, so I want to read it and make sure it's correct. But the more that you could have done as far as preparing that, which should be fairly easy, then I would review it, sign it, and we'll get it filed.
Yeah, that's another thing.
Pretty typical of what we do. I mean, we've got most of the legal done for you to approve and send back or whatever.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because I've had one lawyer who does everything for me, I just tell him what to do, and then I've had another lawyer to where we get everything prepared and just send it to you, so that's how you're wanting to do it, which is fine.
Which, again, if the salary was much higher, certainly I would take on that responsibility, but trying to save the county money, and if staff does it or they have questions, I can answer them. You know, it does tend to keep the cost down.
A lot of it we've got templates on,
Yes,
basically.
oh yes,
So,
But
which
again,
is,
we'll go over each situation and I'll review it, make sure the complaint's correct.
oh yeah, which I understand, there's gonna be changes, because your office does everything different. I've had it change already 3 different times, so it's not the first time.
Sure.
Our demolition contracts that we've signed that Kyle basically created. So are we still good to move forward with those, or do you need to look them over before we even push any more out?
I would say you're probably fine using the contract that he has. At some point, I'll take a look at it and see if there's anything we can do to improve it, but Kyle's a really good attorney, so I'm assuming it should be fine.
I was just making sure with it being written through him, you would be okay to take
Oh, yeah, of
through
course.
it, okay. I think that's my main basics.
Any other, you got something right?
yeah, so our main goals coming up in the next couple of years, we're getting ready to kick off a comprehensive plan. We also need to do a review of the area-wide zoning ordinance. And we also need to get through our land use tables and our zoning maps. So those may take additional time. As far as your experience around that and your availability around that. If it would take additional time, are there any issues? I know one of the things that we're gonna talk about is money. Should we raise that salary up enough to make it comfortable?
I mean, certainly that would help. You know, again, if we're talking additional hours to do it, which obviously we will need to do at some point to make sure everything's drafted correctly, you know, that would certainly help the cause, if that could be done. But again, I understand that's ultimately will be a council decision. But I think we could make a case to get that done.
Okay.
So you're anticipating that the salary is a flat salary, it will be a
You know
flat
what,
salary plus.
I really don't like to keep track of my time. I like the flat salary, and if they need something, they can just call me. I don't wanna sit down and have to write down every phone call or every email. They email me, I'll get back with them. They call me, I'll get back with them.
I was thinking about in terms of additional, court time that you might have to.
The only-
get into. If we had it,
Sure.
like, maybe we have an appeal of the
Yeah.
decision of the initial.
I would suggest any major litigation, that we, that would have to be addressed separately. It might be a situation depending on, I could envision a scenario where you might even need to have counsel who has expertise in whatever the particular area is. Or if it's an area I feel comfortable handling, then certainly I could do it. But I would ask that on what I would define as major litigation, that we discuss an hourly rate, and we can do that if and when that situation arises.
Because I think on major things like that, usually the county has insurance for those type of things, I believe, right?
Usually it's taken to the commissioners, I believe.
Yeah.
Commissioners have some pull on that, above and beyond, way
Right.
above and beyond.
Right.
Any other questions or discussion?
Yeah. Are you familiar, I'm sure, with open door law?
Yes, I am.
And in a hypothetical situation, if we were in an executive meeting and we get off the agenda, how would you handle that? What would you?
Well, you, as I'm sure you're probably aware, you have to advertise ahead of time whenever you have an executive session. Your executive session has to be limited to whatever you put advertise-wise. So contractual matters, legal matters, personnel matters are all topics that can be discussed in executive session. So as long as whatever is advertised is discussed in that executive session, I think you're absolutely fine. So if we advertise legal, for example, and the issue of, well, let's discuss contractual comes up, I would generally say we probably shouldn't do that because we haven't talked about what we've advertised. So, and certainly minutes need to be kept. They're not very specific. They just say a discussion was held on contractual matters or whatever. And I would advise to keep it to whatever was advertised. I hope that answers your question.
Okay, so you would try and interject that we need to get back to the agenda?
Yeah, if we got off track of what was advertised, I would suggest maybe we end the discussion on that and call another executive session, advertise for it, and do it properly.
Okay, since you've been very experienced, I'm sure, can you tell us what you feel is the purpose of zoning and zoning law?
Well, zoning law is a lot, is to protect people's rights to have their property and not have infringements on it, as far as, somebody building a house right up on their property line or running a business next door. People invest money in their house. If they're in a residential area, they expect certain protections from the law on what happens in the properties around them. And I believe that's what zoning's for, basically, is to provide the individuals that security to know that their house is, if they spend $300,000 on a house and then somebody comes in and builds a bar next door, it's gonna go down to $100,000. And I think it provides them that security that that's not gonna happen. Now that's a very brief answer to a question that could really be expounded on.
It's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
I think it's a good summary. I think you really hit it on the head there, I think.
That's why when I was in your gentleman's shoes, I always was very curious what the public had to say on any zoning issues, which is generally what was heard when I was on APC. Any issues, I was always curious. Now the BZA is even more specific because you've got people coming in with specific complaints about this going on or that going on. And I would always, and although I was never on the BZA, I now attend the BZA meetings in Gas City. So I just always caution the board members, let's see what the public thinks, because they're the ones who are really being affected by whatever's going on.
Any other discussion?
Is that all you need?
Well, we are at an open meeting, we can make a decision tonight if we would like.
I could leave if you guys want to have a discussion without me present.
Well, it's an open meeting, so.
I don't want to inhibit anybody, any concerns anyone might have or thoughts or.
You got something?
Dave, this is our second go-around. We had put feelers out or recruited once before. You were not a candidate at that time, and this time you are interested, thank heavens.
Sure.
I appreciate that. Why were you not interested the first time that we put this out?
You know, I was at a different point in my legal career. I'm slowly slowing down as far as the day-to-day. So I planned in my mind on, starting to take less criminal cases and, working more towards government law and a balance with my criminal. I don't remember how long, I do remember when the opening happened, but I was just at a point where I couldn't dedicate the time I thought that this job needed. And again, I was pretty familiar because Bruce, he was my partner for many years. And, I saw it did take a lot of time, and, he was pretty busy. So I think that's probably the biggest thing. I'm just at a different point in my career now.
This only occurred a couple months ago, so you haven't.
I think he's talking about when Bruce left and we got.
That's what I'm.
That's what it sounded like you're
I'm
talking.
talking about this time,
Yeah.
when Mr. Persinger resigned, then we started a search. And we had, I think, 3 candidates at that time.
Oh, I'm not sure I was familiar.
Okay, so you
I
don't.
probably didn't know at that time.
You don't remember getting a solicitation or a recruitment?
No, I don't, because I didn't realize that was the case until you just said that. I thought you were talking about, as Chuck said, several years ago. That's what I thought you were
I
referring
think there
to.
was a gentleman, Mr. Elliott was one.
Yeah.
That had indicated an interest, Mr. Persinger and Mr. Hess, I believe, were the 3. And it ended up that 2 withdrew, and pretty much as one of the gentlemen has here this evening, that I'm not familiar with.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was just our understanding that everybody in the area, all the local attorneys had been contacted. And it was interesting to me that somebody as qualified as you, and if you had interest, which you obviously do, wasn't a part of that initial pool.
Yeah, I really don't think I was aware of it,
Okay.
especially if you're talking just a few months ago.
Yeah.
I think Kyle got with Justin and said he sent it out to the local, can't remember.
You got a local group?
It's on video. It's local.
Yeah, no, there's a local bar association,
Yeah.
but honestly, they're not great about disseminating information.
All right, well, we learned.
Not very good at
So,
that.
All right,
Something that could be done a lot better.
okay.
So we need to improve our recruitment processes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, gotcha.
Any other questions, concerns?
Okay, I think the grassroots, the people who actually applied, is everyone that Kyle actually went out and spoke to. So on top of sending it to the local bar association, Kyle also went out and talked one-on-one like with Bruce.
I don't think Kyle talked to Mr. Hess. I'm the one who talked to Mr. Elliott.
Well, I mean, a lot of the phone calls, we talked to Michael Hotz.
Okay. I'm just wondering about our process and,
Well,
who's been making those decisions, that sort of thing. Do we have a contract? This is a contracted position, as I understand it. Do we have a copy of the contract that we currently have with
I'll
Kyle?
have to look for it.
So even though this is a contracted position, we have no contract setting out what the terms are and so on. Should that be?
I think we should have a contract, yes. I think it's an excellent way to conduct business, that where everybody knows what's expected of everyone else. Like you guys know what's expected of me, and the county knows what I expect.
So would it not be proper, guys, for us to develop the contract before we actually employ, so that he can see what it is he's stepping into. We know what we're stepping into. So rather than make that decision tonight, I think we still have Mr. Persinger for another month, is that correct?
Right.
I guess in terms of the beginning time, with July 1st,
Whatever works is fine with me.
and that would give us time to develop the contract,
Sure.
for you to review it to see if it's
No problem.
suitable for you. Okay.
No
Anyway,
problem.
it just seems to me that makes sense.
That gives me a little bit more time to finish my high school baseball season next week, so
Yeah,
I appreciate that, actually, not having to start right away, but, and I do coach high school baseball, but I would, you know, I think your meetings are at 7 or 7:30.
Six for BZA, seven
Yeah,
for here.
you know, I would, if I needed to miss a game, I would. Practice is not an issue, because we're always done by 6, but
What high school
there's
team,
something, it's really only in April and May where it's an issue anyway.
what high school team is it?
Eastbrook,
Eastbrook.
yeah.
And you're living in Indian country, right next door to me? Huh?
You're correct.
We're gonna have a talk.
You'll be happy to know, though, my grandson will be playing for the Indians.
All right, that's.
And at some point, I will have to switch allegiances. But, no, I do, I like it over there, and
It's fine.
I coached at Marion, I coached at Southwood, now I'm coaching at Eastbrook, so.
Eastbrook's proud to have you.
Thank you, thank you, we're trying. We've had a struggle this year, but we're gonna get there. We lost a lot of great players last year, so. And now the Indians are very good. They're very good, so.
All runs and cycles everywhere, as you know, unless you're a Cubs fan. If you're a Cubs fan, there's never an upward cycle.
I understand that.
Life cycle.
All right, so it's my understanding that we would like to retain Mr. Glickfield, provided we can work out a contract. Is that the consensus of the board? Do we need to do a roll call, or are we good with just going with that?
We take action at our next.
Yeah, so hopefully maybe we can have something.
Yeah, I'll get with Ryan, and Ryan just call me, and we'll get together, we'll see if we can get it put together, and whatever meeting you tell us to have it ready, we'll have it ready.
Just on an upfront part, you know, it's kind of like, if we're having a contract, it's a two-way kind of thing. And, you know, we're indicating our desire. Do you remain interested?
Yeah, I think the draft probably should be disseminated, to each individual.
Right.
When we have it.
Mhm.
And then obviously everyone puts their comments in. If there's changes that need to be made, can address them. And, you know, if there's major issues, we can always meet in executive session to discuss them if necessary. I personally don't think it will be, but if it is, we can certainly do it.
I doubt that too. Along with that, do we have a job description that we have been giving
Yeah, that,
candidates and so on?
same job description from.
Could you see that we get that also before our next meeting?
It's the same one we used for the last.
Yeah, whatever it is. And I don't know, who devised that job description?
With me.
What do you?
It's the one you guys used prior to me,
If somebody had used it prior,
for Kyle's cycle.
did it for Kyle. I know we didn't do it. This group did not develop it. Anyway, I think we need to see a copy of that, just for future reference in case.
No, I take it back, I did do it. I did put it together and give it to the group.
I don't
I'll get it.
recall. Could
I'll
you
get it.
give us a copy again, please?
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Will do.
All right, see you.
Yeah, that was all the business that we had on the schedule for the agenda.
Do we want to discuss, as far as on the payment of it, what we're looking at?
Hey,
Of what?
For the pay end of it?
What you want to approach the council with, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I've just, an idea, we're at 12,000, are we thinking 16, are we thinking 20?
I'm thinking go for 20 and see if we can.
worth a shot.
Amen.
Yeah, because like I said, we got a lot of things that will be coming up.
Quite frankly, 20 is if he is going to handle
Correct.
the total package that we have here in the court time and the amount of time that your office requires, 20 is still a low figure. So I suggest that we go for 20. I don't know if anybody else wants to throw in.
Do we know what the council lawyer makes? Do we know what the commissioner lawyer makes? Do we know what other county council?
Commissioner attorney makes 40,000 plus has the major litigation fund. The council lawyer makes $30,000 plus the major litigation fund. So just checking around in here, I got with Wabash attorney makes $7,500, but they don't do code enforcement. Hamilton County is $25,000, and Huntington County was $150 per hour.
Are there other county groups that have legal counsel? Health department?
Like Kyle's over drainage board, he's over health department. I think Kyle's over a couple other things, but I can't remember.
Are those
everything.
separate salaries?
There's our councilman.
Do we know what they make?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if Kyle makes,
For each area or just grand?
yeah, but I think some of that falls underneath the commissioner umbrella.
Okay.
But I can't remember, he explained it.
Well, if we go to 20, that's a pretty healthy adjustment within our group. That'd be nice if we can get that. Especially if we got several major improvements or revised.
You're gonna have that in your budget, or what, first of June, is it, or sometime in?
Yeah, so second week of June we'll have it, so.
That's pretty quick.
So that'd be an 8,000 increase for next year, but only a 4,000 increase for the rest of this year,
If it starts.
which I think we can,
Probably.
again, as we talk later on, we've been running short-staffed for a while, so we do have some areas in salary where we've got a little extra room that we might be able to
Yep.
pull together to cover the 4.
Transfer. All right. Any other discussion on the attorney issue?
I would suggest that you put the contract together though, until we get permission from the council, that we use the $12,000 figure for the contract. And then we can adjust that if and when the council approves whatever amount that they might approve. You know, just so we're safe.
We'll have 6 coming out of half, so we've got enough, we have 5 for the quarter.
Yeah, I mean, just as we get ready to put the contract together, we need to go with what we have rather than the bird in the bush.
Whenever we approve, we'll start January 1.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, that's, well, again, with the council, I'm gonna have to kind of go to the council not only for this, if we need additional appropriations, but also for our part-time employees. They got raises from $11.50 and $11.70 up to $12.70. When that happens for part-time employees, they raise the hourly rate, but they do not raise what's budgeted for them. So
You
for,
gotta go back and make a change.
yeah, and I talked to Angie today, and Angie said, well, it's just like last year. I said, I know, I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss something. She said, that's for all part-time, it's what you gotta do. So for like $8,000 to finish paying our part-time this year, I've gotta go to the council anyway. So I know I'm going for that. So whatever we would have left here.
Yep. All right. Any other discussion on attorneys?
I move adjournment.
Got a motion to close the regular meeting, got a second? Second, all in favor? Aye. All right, so this meeting's closed, we'll give a 5-minute break or less to clear the room, because we'll be in executive session. Tyson, are you still there?
Yes. Yes. Did you hear me?
We can stop recording. We can't stop people from signing on.
I think that's solved the issue. I think we just needed to shut it down if we were overheated. Because now it's not blinking. I think you might want to tell that guy.
Can you hear me now?